great food, great atmosphere. Some of the best lunches I've had in Vegas is at Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones, and tell them I sent you. So the gentleman we have with us on the line right now, you might have heard of this organization on this show, Battle Born Progress. And right now joining us is a man by the name of Jacob Salas. He is the communications lead for Battle Born Progress of Southern Nevada. Jacob, I appreciate you being here, my friend. How are you?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Now, I know what you guys are all about at Battle Born Progress, but for some of our listeners, can you explain what this organization stands for, what they are all about, and how long they've been around?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been around the block for a while. I think maybe a decade, not quite a decade. But look, we're all about empowering, informing, and engaging Nevadans all across the state, making sure that Nevada is a place that works for everyone. And most of that, it's all about the issues, right? And making sure, I mean, it's in the name, Battle Born Progress, that really this is a state where everyone is represented, everyone can be heard, and like I said, it works for everyone.
I think that's great. And obviously, I would imagine you at Battle Born Progress, and you guys are very excited about Kamala Harris. Talk to me a little bit about her and your thoughts on her and possibly being the first female president of the United States.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the vibe shift, right, has been immense between where we are now and where we were even a month ago, right? And so I think that the level of energy, the level of joy, right, that we've seen just around the campaign trail, but I think also the level of excitement at the grassroots is palpable. I think a lot of people who haven't been engaged in politics for a long time are finally excited again. And it's an exciting time, right? And I think that Harris really captures the sort of essence of what the Democratic Party could be, because I think for a long time, I'm not sure that there has always been segments of the party that has not been necessarily happy with their party leaders, right? In 2016, the division between Hillary and Bernie. In 2020, obviously, that was a brutal primary between so many different candidates. And even this year, right, the decision to keep Biden on the ticket up until the last minute had a lot of folks anxious. And I think Harris represents a piece of the party that everyone can believe in. And I think her background, obviously, but even her biography, right, like you say, potentially becoming the first woman president. I mean, it's something. It's a message of hope, right? It shades of 2008, right? That it's something people can believe in.
And, Michelle and Barack Obama speaking last night echoed that sentiment, what you just talked about. In your organization, Battle Born Progress, you guys talk a lot about education. Donald Trump, as you know, wants to get rid of the Department of Education, full blown. And you guys talk about this a lot. What do you make of this and the threat to our children out there that are trying to get a quality education?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you this much, getting rid of the Department of Education would be a disaster. So for the most part, education is a state and local issue. But the way that the federal government operates usually is by giving money to support programs, right? So for instance, we'll say free and reduced school lunches. A lot of that kind of stuff is supported by federal grants through the U.S. Department of Education, for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and through the Department of Education, or programs like SNAP. And TANF, if you're familiar with those. So
Sure.
When we start dismantling pieces of the federal government, people start to lose out on these sort of valuable services that really matter, right? Again, school lunches, right? Having access to a free school lunch or breakfast or whatever when you need it means you do better in the classroom, means you go to class, means that the outcomes are going to be improved. And that is setting students up for a successful life, not just a successful school tenure. And so when we talk about getting rid of the Department of Education, that's the kind of outcomes we're putting on the table.
I agree with everything you just said. And, speaking of school lunch, Governor Tim Walz in Minnesota passes a bill, free breakfast and free lunch for students in that state. I think of Michelle Obama when she, and I'm such a big Michelle Obama fan, when she was the first lady, talking about nutrition, the type of food these children are putting in their bodies, and I think of these initiatives and these bills that were passed, like from a Tim Walz. And then I think of Donald Trump. I don't think he's ever talked about nutrition his entire life. And when you look at his diet, which is filled with KFC and McDonald's, you wonder why, right? I mean, it's, you look at these people on the left and even in the at the convention, they're talking about these issues. I don't hear Donald Trump talking about any of these issues, except for the fact that he wants to get rid of the Department of Education as a whole, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I just think it's dangerous. And I think we We both agree on that. So let's talk about Nevada for a moment, since you guys are, you're part of the Southern Nevada Communications Lead for Battleborn Progress. A couple months ago, Jacob, the polls were showing that Trump had a nice heavy lead on Joe Biden. The latest polls that we've seen over the course of the last few weeks have dramatically changed. Now, we all know that we can't just rely on polls, but right now, if the election was today, the polls are showing that Kamala Harris would win Nevada. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's really interesting. Nevada is notoriously hard to poll, so I guess we'll just start there, right? It's a tricky one. And another weird thing about Nevada is that there's a ton of population churn, right? Vegas is Vegas. We all know lots of people from California love to move here. And so that the demographics are changing all the time. All of that said, I think that the race between Biden and Trump and the race between Harris and Trump they're so diametrically different that I think a lot of voters, we talk about maybe double haters, right? People who hated both Biden and Trump. Well, there's very few double haters in the same way with Harris and Trump, right? And those voters are starting to break for Harris. And so I think it's just a different election, right? It's almost not even comparable to where we were a month ago.
Yeah, very different. Speaking of children, I got to get your thoughts on this, Jacob. What are your thoughts on J.D. Vance not only attacking women, the weird cat lady comment, but attacking people for not having kids? I mean, I don't understand. Are they trying to intentionally lose the election in attacking minorities and saying Kamala's not black, attacking Americans that don't have kids, attacking women in this country, wanting to take away reproductive rights? I mean, if you asked me if I was an outsider looking in, I would say, wait, are they trying to intentionally lose the election?
Yeah, it's genuinely baffling, isn't it? Right. And JD Vance in particular has to be one of the least likable vice presidential picks in history because everything that comes out of his mouth just leaves you scratching your head. What is he even talking about? And it's literally everything. And like you say, right, like this sort of what is it? Taxing folks who don't have children, right?
Yeah, that's what he wants to do.
Yeah, and it's weird, right? I don't want to look, the word has gotten a lot of play in the last couple of weeks, but it is weird, isn't it? To just keep talking like this. And then like, I don't know, he'll talk about it's not about grandma's help, it takes a village to raise a family. He'll talk about postmenopausal women, their role in the family. And then it's like, why do you got to phrase it like that, man?
He's just weird.
It's strange.
Yeah, it's weird. And let's keep in mind, this is the same guy who said Donald Trump could be America's next Adolf Hitler. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you, but I really don't have any friends of mine or people in my life that would want to work for somebody that they characterized or compared to someone who killed 7 million Jews. But hey, I guess the excuse is, well, I was wrong about the guy. What do you make about, I want to ask you one Robert F. Kennedy Jr. question, Jacob, if I may, because it's speculated now that he's going to step down. He's going to step out of the race on Friday and then support Trump. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, there's potential to benefit Trump, right? Because I guess there's a non-zero percentage of RFK Jr. voters who like Trump more than they like Harris. But frankly, RFK Jr. has been totally tanking. I mean, if he's going to drop out, the reason he's going to drop out is because there's no base of support.
Right.
And so, does it help Trump? Potentially. Does it hurt Harris? It might not be that bad. I think we're just going to have to wait and see, because who knows?
Yeah, you're right. Who knows? I tend to think he's stepping down, and I tend to think he's going to be supporting Donald Trump just because Trump offered him a position in his cabinet if he wins, which I think is a complete sellout. But we'll have to wait and see how this turns out. Again, if you're just joining us, he is Jacob Salas. He is the Southern Nevada Communications Lead for Battleborn Progress. I want to give you the opportunity to talk a little bit about Battleborn Progress. I know you guys have been around for a little while now. How can people get involved? Like, if people want to donate to what you guys are doing, which I think is wonderful work, particularly right here in Las Vegas, how can people get involved and be a part of what you guys are doing?
Absolutely. So I think the number one way is to help volunteer, right? And so we have an app called Megaphone. It's a national app, but you can help volunteer through that. You can find us there. And I think that's really the number one way, making sure, because at a certain point, it's going to be knocking on doors and making phone calls and making sure that folks are engaged and that they know what's happening. So that's the number one way.
And give out your website again for us so people know where to go if they want to learn more about you. Yeah.
You can find us at battlebornprogress.org.
There you go. Battlebornprogress.org. You've heard it here on the show before. Jacob, thank you so much for what you guys are doing. You're on the right side of history. and you're doing a lot of good in the community. And yeah, we need to spread the word on what you guys are doing at Battleborn Progress. And let's hope that we get the result that we are all looking for, right, in November. But I'm sure your eyes will be glued to the television set tonight and tomorrow, the last 2 days of the Democrat National Convention in Chicago. And I don't expect I'll see you at the Donald Trump rally on Friday.
Probably not.
Well, Jacob, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Love to have you on again down the road. Love the work that you guys are doing at Battleborn Progress. Keep up the great work, my friend. And we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Good to have you. Thank you so much. That's Jacob Salas, Southern Nevada Communications Lead for a great organization, as I mentioned, Battleborn Progress. Check them out, Battleborn.